What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
Welcome to Nox's Library, and today, at the request of a viewer, we're looking at the protagonists of the last 3 Elder Scrolls games. Well, they actually only asked for the Nerevarine, but I figured I'd do all 3 at once since they're all just there. And the biggest mystery between all of them is still basically the same. You see, we all know what happened to them during the events of the games. The Nerevarine takes on Dagoth-Ur.
Dagoth-Ur welcomes you, Nerevar. What are you doing?
And blows up their Numidium. The hero of Kvatch does in the Mythic Dawn and thwarts Mehrunes Dagon's plans, while the Dragonborn shouts at Alduin until he explodes. The real question is, what about before and after the games? Now, Elder Scrolls games are RPGs, and the player can always just make up a roleplay reason as to why their character turns up where Bethesda needs them to get the ball rolling. However, there is a reasonably popular theory coming out of Oblivion, which you could apply to the rest of the series. You see, the hero of Kvatch is a complete anomaly in Oblivion. The cell they're in is meant to be empty, given that it is a pathway to a secret passage. And there isn't a record of them being a prisoner when they first appear, yet there they are, somehow prophesized in the dreams of Uriel Septim before his death. As far as everyone else is concerned, they literally just pop into existence. Yet this random anomaly ends up being the reason why Mehrunes Dagon doesn't take over the world, along with Marsin Septim of course. The theory proposes that the gods, probably chiefly Akatosh, created and sent the hero Kvatch to stop Dagon, hence why they just appear precisely where they need to without much of an explanation. I very much doubt their sudden appearance is a logistical problem with the Imperial prison system, and while this theory is the strongest with Oblivion specifically, I guess you can kind of apply it to the other games too. I mean, let's look at the Nerevarine and the Dragonborn. The Nerevarine is the reincarnation of Indral Nerevar, and Azura could have been the reason why Uriel Septim sent him on a boat to Morrowind in the first place. The same Uriel Septim that had dreams about Oblivion's protagonist. Then there is the Dragonborn, who has the blood of Akatosh and could have been sent by Akatosh to deal with Alduin. This kinda makes sense if you believe the theory that Alduin is actually ignoring his duties to be the World Eater and end the world so it can start anew. And Akatosh could have sent the Dragonborn to go and stop him and turn him into the World Eater he was always meant to be. But again, this is just a theory. If you don't like it, you can just ignore it and work in whatever reason you have in mind for why your character is there and ready to save the world. What happens afterward though is out of our hands. Let's start by using the Nerevarine as an example. After the events of Morrowind, the defeat of Dagoth-Ur, and the destruction of the Numidium, and so on, the Nerevarine still kept himself busy. Now, we know he was probably canonically a Dunmer and a he, if all of this artwork and Neloth are to be believed. Although apparently Neloth's line was a mistake, so take that with a grain of salt. And we also know that the Nerevarine is functionally immortal. Now elves of any kind, not just Dunmer, apparently live for a very long time. In fact, Todd even gives us a concrete example. The Companions had an elven harbinger called Henentir, the Outsider, who got the position because he'd just been around the longest, having served under several other harbingers. But this isn't the only reason why the Nerevarine is basically immortal. And by immortal I mean live forever, not immune to any kind of damage. In Morrowind he gets infected with Corpus, and then gets a potion to remove all the negative effects, but keeps the positive ones, which include immunity to aging and diseases. So, chances are, the Nerevarine, irrespective of his elven blood, will live a damn long time. And with the power and skill of an Elder Scrolls protagonist, he's probably still alive somewhere during the events of Skyrim and even beyond. The question remains, where is he now? Well, I don't know. That's the mystery, I guess, but the last we hear of him is in Oblivion, where NPCs mention that he's led an expedition to Akavir. Although this is a rumour, and Skyrim takes place around 200 years after Oblivion, so who knows where the Nerevarine is now. I'd wager probably still in Akavir, but with his immortality and power, he's probably being kept away so that other Elder Scrolls can have their plot without Deus Ex Nerevarine coming in and solving all the problems. And that leads us not so neatly onto the hero of Kvatch, who we actually get quite a bit more with. The Shivering Isles expansion gives us most of the answers we need, with Oblivion's protagonist managing to defeat Jiggalag. during the Grey March at the end of the Third Era. For context, Jiggalag got turned into Sheogorath by the other Daedric princes, and at the end of every era, Jiggalag gets control of his body again, for just a day, conquering the Shivering Isles and bringing order to Sheogorath's chaos. This is known as the Grey March. Now the hero of Kvatch rolls up to the Shivering Isles when the Grey March is about to happen and stops the cycle by defeating Jiggalag and becoming the new Sheogorath, freeing the Daedric Prince of Order, who leaves the Shivering Isles to the hero of Kvatch. Some of the peoples of the Shivering Isles already begin to refer to the hero of Kvatch as the new Sheogorath, and a popular theory takes this quite literally. Although this hasn't been officially confirmed by the events of Skyrim, it is popularly assumed that Sheogorath is actually the hero of Kvatch, hence his different appearance compared to Oblivion, while Jiggalag is somewhere doing something, I guess? Who knows, maybe he's bringing order to his taxes? Now, we don't have a lot of proof for this in Skyrim itself, and are almost entirely going off the ending of the Shivering Isles. It is a good way to write the hero of Kvatch out of Skyrim without entirely removing them from the lore, which is kinda what happened to the Nerevarine and his jaunt to Akavir. But we have absolutely nothing to work with when it comes to Skyrim's protagonist, the last Dragonborn. Now, I am assuming that the last Dragonborn is not immortal, and could just die of old age by the time we get to Elder Scrolls 6. To be fair, I might die of old age before we get to ES6, but the last Dragonborn's immortality is kind of up for debate. You see, the Dragonborn Emperors before have all died of old age or other kinds of natural causes, at least as far as I can tell. We don't know this for sure, but Tiber of Septim did age and was described by Berenzia, a Dunmer queen, as having white hair and a lined, weathered face. If we assume that the last Dragonborn is like them, then old age will probably take them. Sun even says that he looks forward to seeing the Dragonborn again in Sovngarde. However, Miraak kinda messes things up here. To my knowledge, Miraak and the last Dragonborn are the only named Dragonborns to have absorbed dragon souls, and Miraak is still alive thousands of years later. I mean, he was around during the Mirific era, and in general is just one of the oldest living beings in Nirn. Now, you could make an argument that the last Dragonborn is the same, especially after making a deal with Hermaeus Mora to deal with Miraak and the absorption of dragon souls. The Daedric Prince of Knowledge even states that he has no use for Miraak after finding another Dragonborn to serve him, and this could be our Dragonborn's fate by the time we get to Elder Scrolls 6. Just another servant of Hermaeus Mora, who could have actually been the source of Miraak's immortality in the first place, given how easily he kills him and literally turns him into a skeleton.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
Trying to predict what will become of the last Dragonborn is always going to be a difficult task. There isn't anything in the Elder Scrolls timeline after Skyrim's ending. All the games we've had since Skyrim's release have all taken place before it. I'm talking ESO and Elder Scrolls Blades. Still, if we take into account the two protagonists before Skyrim and go by them, there will be a reason why the Dragonborn isn't around and written out the story for Elder Scrolls 6. Perhaps they embark on an expedition to Atmora, a continent to the north of Skyrim, kind of like what the Nerevarine did by going to Akavir. Or they could get stuck in a realm of oblivion with the Calamari demon, kinda similar to what happened with the hero of Kvatch by turning into Sheogorath. Or they just die of old age. To be honest, that's probably the kindest option for them. Maybe Bethesda will just go with that.
And so the pack was born again, as the wolves of Yarbasker, to rule in life and serve in death, as the moonlight's dark hunter.